Seriously, like, stop. I mean, not all the time, not forever. Let me explain. So I'm talking to worship leaders specifically that maybe started out leading worship on their own with maybe an acoustic guitar or a piano, and now they're leading a worship ministry where there's a band involved. And here's what happens is that to start the song, the worship leader starts playing their acoustic guitar, the band jumps in, and there, as the song goes on, there might be dynamics where it kind of comes down and it builds back up, but the acoustic plays all throughout the song, and then the song stops, everyone stops, and then the same thing happens. Song 2 starts, and it's the acoustic guitar kind of playing the first 4 bars, and the band jumps in, and we repeat this process for every song in the set. So I want to take a moment and kind of explain why I think we get into the rut in the first place and why it's a problem, the one thing that you can do to fix it, and why your worship band will sound better because of this one change that you make. I think we get into this rut because we're used to doing it all by ourselves. You know, when we started, we were the band. It was us and our voice and our instrument. So it's really easy when you start working with a worship band to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and play. I'll start the song. I'll kind of be like that beacon or maybe that rudder on a ship, and everyone just follow me. And it kind of gives you control as far as communicating to the band where to go and how to stop and where we're going and all that. Now, here's the problem is that not every song is driven by the acoustic guitar. Sometimes it's driven by the piano. Maybe it's driven by the electric guitar or the drums. Sometimes it's even the vocals that drive a song. And the end result is that every song starts sounding the same. It all starts with the acoustic, the band goes up and down, and every song is that feel. So this is how you fix it, is that you begin the process of working towards trusting the other members of the band, letting other people and other instruments drive each song, which can seem kind of weird because you are giving up control. There is a sense of, like, if they miss a chord or if the tempo is kind of weird, like, you don't have any control. It just kind of happens, but you have to at least begin the process of releasing that control. And part of your job as the leader is to give them what they need, to give your band what they need so that you can trust them. Part of that is just giving them a safe space to fail. They're not going to get it on the first try. You've been doing this for years and years and years in these kinds of settings, and maybe they need a little bit of time where they do flub up that intro or they don't come in right away. But how can you start to begin to create these safe places within your rehearsal? And maybe they don't get it by the end of rehearsal, and maybe it's not show ready for the weekend, but the next weekend, the next rehearsal, maybe it is. It's like you begin the process of working that way. Start to begin to take chances where people can learn how to do this and to fail, and it's okay to fail because the space that you've created is a safe place to do that. Now, you are dealing with hobbyist musicians for the most part. These aren't people that are, professionals that are playing music every single day, but they may not be at a place where if you just launch them off right now that they could just do it without any problems. But given the right time and the support from you, they could surprise you. Most times they do. I know in my case, they do it all the time. My musicians, I'll give a challenge to them. Okay, I need you to play this way. And they rise to it. I'm like, whoa, that's way better than I even imagined it could be. But you got to take that chance. This is why I think it makes the band better. For one, it makes the music more interesting. Instead of every single song starting with just your instrument, throughout the worship set, the piano is featured, or maybe the drums are featured, or maybe the electric guitar is featured. And then, of course, your acoustic guitar is featured. And it just makes for different, interesting sounds throughout the entire experience. You'll also notice that songs will be more authentic to the original recordings. And not that, that is a goal, that you have to sound like the original recording, but those arrangements were created for a reason. These are people that sat in a room for hours or days or whatever, in a rehearsal space or in the studio trying to come up with that arrangement. It didn't happen by accident, and there's a lot of thought that went into it. So for us to mimic the album, there's a reason behind it, because that arrangement is something that we know is proven to work well. Here's something else that I think is really important in terms of why this makes us better, is that this process, you're building leaders. And so the more that you pour in to the other people on the team and you allow them to kind of step up and learn how to do that, well, then the less that is on you as you lead a worship ministry. And so you don't feel like you have to come in and do all the things, because you're training other leaders within the ministry to be able to be a part in terms of like how the ministry functions, and how it's not just you that's leading the team and leading the congregation, it's everyone coming together. And it's because you're creating the space for them to learn how to do that. And they're going to fail, but they're going to learn from those failures. And the final thing is that the band just sounds better. And again, that's not the end result. Like, that's not the end goal. The reason that we're doing all this is not just so it sounds better, but we are using music to inspire people to pursue God. And the better that it sounds, the less it kind of disappears. People don't notice it, and they can focus more on maybe the words that they're singing and God moving throughout the room. So I'm curious, is this a trap that you found yourself in? Maybe you're still in it, or maybe you were in it and you got out of it. I'd be curious to hear your story in the comments below.